With the shift to 3-5-2 becoming more popular and the number of striker options arguably dwindling, it's not surprising that midfielders are at the forefront of our thoughts when it comes to Fantasy Premier League. Up next, we're going to look at some of the midfield options that could be game changers for your team. Hey guys, it's Andy here, and today I want to look at some FPL midfielders who could be shrewd purchases to get you up the rankings and beat your mini-league rivals. These game changers have been selected because of their low ownership and potential to do well over the coming weeks, and if they do, you could see some big green arrows on the horizon. We're going to kick things off today with HENRIKH Mkhitaryan. The attacking midfielder joined Man United from Borussia Dortmund in the summer with high expectations on his shoulders, following a final season that saw him score or create 49 goals, which is really impressive. The Armenian started off slow under Jose Mourinho, who was reluctant to play him, but has now started 5 of the last 6 games that he's been available for, and does seem to be the first choice right winger in the midfield 3 that's starting behind Zlatan Ibrahimovic. It's worth noting that Man United do have other options that could play there, such as Juan Mata and Jesse Lingard, and at the weekend when we played Liverpool, it was Mkhitaryan that was forced back to left back to accommodate Fellaini and Rooney, but going forward he should be the first choice option. So what are the prospects? Well, he's currently owned by just 2.5% of overall players and 1.3% in the top 10,000. In the last 4 game weeks, he's made an impressive 12 key passes in just over 288 minutes of football, along with 6 shots, 3 of them being on target. For anyone that's seen him play, it's probably fair to say he's been unlucky not to be in the points, and that has included some poor finishing. But with Stoke away and Hull at home in the next 2 fixtures, he could finally reward owners with the promise that he's shown. Priced at 9 million though, he's not cheap, and it's hard to justify purchasing him ahead of the likes of Ali, Ericsson and Coutinho, who can all be picked up for less money. But if you're the kind of manager who likes a risk, or needs something different in the short to medium term, then Mkhitaryan could be your man. Junior Stanislas has been in and out of the team this season, with injuries not really letting him have a run in the side, but with 2 assists and a goal in his last 3 game weeks, it's no wonder Fantasy Premier League managers are starting to take notice of him. With Callum Wilson also not being able to nail down a spot in the Bournemouth side, it does mean that Stanislas is on penalties when he's not on the pitch, which is another good avenue for points potential. The best thing about Stanislas is that he only costs you 5.2 million and is only owned by 3% of overall players, so if you're still fighting ghost ships like me, he could be a really good asset. He's still only owned by 10.6% in the top 10k, so overall it's pretty good. He's an easy asset as well to get in your side because of his price, and he has 2 plumb home fixtures coming up next against Watford and Crystal Palace. Winger also has some pretty good stats to back up the interest that's starting to form in him. In the last 4 game weeks, he's played a total of 267 minutes, which is just under 3 full games, and in that time he's registered 6 key passes and 9 goal attempts, with 5 of these being on target. With 4-man fixtures on his side, he could be a really good cheap midfielder going forward, and it would also enable you upgrades elsewhere if you're looking at the likes of Baines, Danny Rose in defence, or possibly upgrading strikers to the likes of Lukaku or Kane. Up next is Kevin Mirallas, who's always viewed as one of those players that always does well when he's not in your team, but can be a nightmare to own. One of the key problems with him is the amount of minutes that he gets from game to game, and he can often find himself on the bench or hauled off before the 90 minutes are up. With Yannick Bolasie out of the side through injury, and with Delafeu linked to a move away from Merseyside, we could see Mirallas continue the run of games that has seen him score twice and get 2 assists in just the last 4 matches alone. Koeman has been mixing up formations for Everton this season, and when deploying the 3-5-2, Mirallas has seen a higher average position on the pitch and is almost playing as a second striker at times. He's currently owned by 2.1% of all players and just 0.7% of those in the top 10k, and like Stanislas and Mkhitaryan, has some really good stats from the last 4 game weeks. His goal attempts are up at 11, with 5 being on target, and he's also made 4 key passes. Everton are also about to go on a really good run of fixtures that starts with the next 3 of Crystal Palace, Stoke and Bournemouth, so Mirallas could see his points keep ticking over. It is worth noting that Everton have been linked with the move for Memphis Depay, and his signing could see Mirallas' minutes decrease. And they've also signed Lookman, who made his debut against Man City at the weekend and scored, so he's one to look out for as well. We're finishing off the 4 players that we're looking at today with Arnautovic, and I will say that this is a bit of a knee-jerk after the 3-1 win against Sunderland at the weekend. But this is a player that scored 165 points last season, with 11 goals and 6 assists, so his potential is definitely there. He's a little behind that at the moment, with 3 goals and 2 assists to his name, but with 3 key passes and 5 shots in the last 2 matches, we could see him start to deliver again if he can keep these kind of stats up. Stoke's next match isn't ideal at home to Manchester United, But after this they have Everton, Palace and Middlesbrough at home in the next 5 fixtures, with away matches to West Brom and Spurs. It's fair to say that those away fixtures aren't ideal, and at 7.1 million it might be tough to pick him against some others in that price bracket, such as Pedro, who can be picked up for just 7 million. But if Bojan leaves Stoke, as he's been rumoured to, it would mean that Arnautovic is back on penalties, and this could really aid his points potential. He's owned by just 0.7% overall and only 0.1% in the top 10k. So if he does go big, he could be a game changer for your side, and it could be a risk well worth taking. That's where we're going to wrap up today's video. Really hope you enjoyed it and I hope it was useful to you. Make sure to leave a comment below and let me know if you're bringing in any of these game changers, or do you have your own, and if so, who is going to boost you up the rankings. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like. I'd really appreciate it, and subscribe for more. That'll let you know when the next video is up, and also when I'm going live for my live streams, which are currently usually on the Friday before the deadline, and then over Sunday or Monday after the deadline, just to recap. And if you want to know when they're going live, you can also follow me on Twitter. My handle is just Andy85WSM. But until next time, keep talking FPL, and I'll catch you soon.